Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, with a special announcement. There is an upcoming event for realtors, brokers, and aspiring real estate professionals. It's an educational breakfast meeting being held at the Vero Beach Chamber of Commerce on Thursday, April 28th, starting at 8:30 in the morning. And the featured speaker is Sally Wagner, and she's the owner of a real estate school, Prosperity Learning Group. If you'd like to attend this event, we need you to register to guarantee a seat, even though it's free. And you can go to www.yourhomeinspections.net/event. Treasure Coast Connector, the show, puts a spotlight on local business owners because everyone has an interesting story of why they do what they do. We want to learn about them because when we do business locally, it strengthens the local economy. Do you or someone you know have a digestive issue? Are you fed up about not getting any answers and modern medicine not helping you? Well, joining me in the studio today is Christi Buck, and she is a functional and holistic registered dietitian and nutritionist whose practice, Vitality Wellness and Nutrition Center, focuses on chronic digestive issues. Now, she entered this field because she and her mom had some issues. She's helped herself and her mom, and now she's helping others. So welcome to the show, Christi.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks
It's been a
me.
while.
Yes.
I've wanted you on the show because you have helped my husband, and we can touch on that later. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, because my husband is so happy, and so am I.
Good.
So now, before we get into the practice and the aspects of it, now I want to make sure I did say this right. Functional, holistic, registered dietitian and nutritionist. So go into a little bit about why you entered this field.
Yeah, good question. So as with many, I was very sick as a child. They didn't know what was wrong. Constant stomach issues. Of course, went to the doctor back then. It was antibiotic every time, 3 months at a time, antibiotics, right? So we know now what that can do to the system, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
No, it's not helpful. And then, time progressed and they finally just diagnosed me with IBS, and they said, okay, well, you just have to live with it. If you have a bowel movement every 4 days, that's normal. That is not normal, right? It's whatever your normal is. And then, of course, obviously there's a connection between the gut and the brain. So the anxiousness or depression, okay, here's an antidepressant. Well, I don't want the Band-Aids. I want the fix, right?
Yeah, of course.
So with my health issues, and then I was adopted. So my birth mother had Crohn's disease since she was pregnant with me, and she had a lot of complications. Unfortunately, I didn't start into this field till she had passed away. But there was a lot I could have done had I known now.
Yeah.
But getting to the root cause and was my goal, and going back and furthering my education and helping heal myself, because I wasn't getting any answers, and I didn't want medication. Because I know that's a Band-Aid.
Okay, well, very good. Now, I'm going to refer to my notes because there's something on your website that I wanted to point out. And the website is www.vwanc.com. Okay. And people that are watching this can see the graphic, but for the Spreaker and Spotify and all the podcast people, right? Okay, so here's what you wrote, and I really like how it encapsulates perfectly what you do. Under the heading Natural Digestive Solutions, you wrote, I help health-minded, self-empowered women finally end their lifelong digestive issues by finding the missing pieces of their health puzzle so they can feel vibrant again, right? And we're seeing a lot of ads, commercials on TV for the medicines, for the Band-Aids, okay? So what I'd like to know is what sets you apart, okay, as the nutritionist from like Google and all that information we can swim in?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question.
Mm-hmm.
So basically being functional basically means we're looking at the whole person. We're looking for root cause and we're thinking outside the box, right? More and more people are looking for that. They're doctor Googling it and they're trying to find, okay, what's wrong? Who do I see? And everybody's different. So if someone has a diagnosis, right, say they have IBS, they typically don't have just IBS because it is a syndrome. They can have joint pain and headaches and skin issues, right? So you have to look at the whole person, just like we don't put our body into silos of going to this doctor for this and this doctor for that. We're a whole person. All our systems work together.
Okay, very good. And so now, even though you talk about women that you help, you deal with men too.
Yes,
It's just that predominantly it seems to be the women that come to you first.
Yes.
And I think that makes sense. No offense.
I know.
I think that the guys are willing to suffer more in silence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to segue into my husband here because you and I met. You stood up at Anna Valencia Tillery's luncheon in Vero Beach years ago. And what you said, as soon as the meeting was over, I think I tackled other women to get to you, right? Because there was a whole bunch of people that wanted to talk to you. And I took your brochure and I read all up, on you and everything. And so my husband at first was like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, I think so. And then he met you. And then he was like, oh my God, she's my best friend, after sessions with you. And I think that that's the case. I heard my husband, suffering. His stomach would make noise after he would eat and he would complain.
Right.
And it wasn't IBS or anything major. It was actually very simple. You did some testing and then you showed him what he was intolerant to. And then he stopped eating the intolerant things. And this was years ago. And all kidding aside, it's your lessons have stuck with him.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I want everybody to know that.
Yeah.
And it would be the thing in the morning, we're having coffee, his stomach is making noise and the cat picks up his head like, what's that? Oh, that's just Daddy. He's okay. Yeah. So, but anyway, I wanted to go on to the next thing. So, okay. So now before people even, they go to your website, before they do anything else next, we're going to talk about those steps. But the American diet, the typical American diet.
Yeah.
What advice, and I know this is a broad question,
It is, yeah.
but before anybody gets to sit in front of you, or actually you're doing everything virtual now, which is really lovely. We'll talk about that. But what advice would you like to give?
Well, the biggest, I think the easiest for everybody is making sure you read the ingredients because it's just like a person. They can be really pretty on the outside, just like a package, but you get inside and it's like, oh my gosh, what is this? What is this? All these ingredients, if you don't know what they are, you shouldn't be putting them in your mouth.
Yeah.
We should be eating whole foods, and it's convenience items, that we tend to go towards is because it's easy, it's quick, it's fast.
Right.
But what are we really putting in our body? Our body doesn't know what to do with those ingredients. And then it creates chaos in the body. And then we end up with issues. Yes.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
So now there's also another thing on your website about the Big Four. What is the Big Four?
So the Big Four is a guide I created because I could spend probably 2 days just talking about those things. Basically helping people that are suffering with digestive issues, the Big Four reasons.
Okay.
So they can look at that and kind of go through it and say, okay, well, I know this. The Big Four, just to sum it up, is diet, stress, environment, and toxins. So you kind of have to knock out each category, and diet doesn't mean I take everything away from you. You're not eating anything but
that is
water and bread.
Yeah.
We have, what I do is replace. So if you like this, let's replace it with a cleaner version of that, so that's with everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm a foodie. I know people like to eat.
Yeah.
I like to eat, but I want to know that I'm eating is the cleanest product there is.
Yeah, there was a restaurant that didn't survive COVID that you introduced me to. Fresh. It was called actually Organic Fresh. It was right by the hospital on 37th. Very sad about that.
Yes.
Please reopen.
Yeah, we need more of those.
They also had a sangria that I really liked too. I'm just saying. But that is very, very true. I think that, stress also is
huge. Destroys the gut lining. It does so much to the body. And years ago, people would say, don't stress. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's really amplified now. We just, And there's ways to de-stress.
Yeah.
There's ways, we just have to find what works for that person.
Oh, absolutely. So I don't do food shopping. I don't cook. I don't.
There you go.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I do some of those things. Actually, Omar loves to cook. And actually what's interesting is there were some things that he was intolerant to that were taken away. But it actually opened up. It became fun to figure out what can we do and enjoy the different recipes. And you had great suggestions for him.
Good.
And again, we still buy these products to this day, which is really great. And there was something else that you meant. Oh, you're a foodie. You have recipes on your website.
I do.
And I want coconut chia seed pudding.
Easy, and good.
Is it now? How easy is it to make? We have a couple.
Takes you probably 5 to 10 minutes to make it. And just refrigerate it, and it's good. It's a nice little dessert. Right.
Okay.
So,
but it's not going to set me over the edge like a flourless chocolate torte would.
No, not at all.
Okay, so I'm still getting something delicious and creamy and satisfying.
Exactly.
But it's not going to
harm you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Although dark chocolate isn't so bad.
No.
Okay. I will debate you. As you know, I can do.
Right.
And you know what we're going to do? We're already at commercial time. Cindy didn't even have to wave that sign at me. Christi Buck of Vitality Wellness and Nutrition Center has a lot more to discuss. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Carol Jean Jordan, your tax collector here in Indian River County. All of our offices are scheduling appointments for in-office services, but you can get that little yellow sticker quicker by using our express lane. It's fast, convenient, and free when you pay with an e-check. Renew your registration on our website and select Pick Up at the Tax Collector's Office. Order before 3 p.m. and you can pick up your little yellow sticker on the same day. Order at irctax.com. That's irctax.com.
Everyone wants to do their part in preventing the spread of the coronavirus, and doing your laundry the right way can help. This is Tom Rhodes, owner of Sunshine Laundries, with some helpful laundering tips. Use the right amount of detergent. Too much detergent may allow dirt and the virus to remain trapped inside the fabric. And if you line dry your clothes, add some bleach during the wash cycle to help kill off the virus. For more helpful coronavirus fighting tips, visit sunshinelaundries.com.
Shop the Habitat Restore in Vero Beach, the store that builds houses. The Habitat Restore is where you'll find new and gently used items such as furniture, home decor, building materials, appliances, lighting, and much more. Did you know that 1 in 3 Habitat homes are built by the Indian River Habitat Restore? And tax-deductible donations can be dropped off at the Habitat Restore just north of 45th Street on US 1 in Vero, or they'll pick them up for free. Support the store that builds homes. Visit online at irchabitat.org.
One of the great things about affordable water is you don't need to be a client for service. That's right, if you have equipment from almost anywhere else, it doesn't matter. Affordable Water will service or repair it. No contracts, no commitments, no problems. And no salespeople, just water technicians who will come out and service your existing water equipment. Affordable Water.
Call 589-7677. Or you reach 2-0, call the Pure Water Pros. Affordable Water.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I've been chatting with Christi Buck, and she is the owner of Vitality Wellness and Nutrition Center, and she is a functional and holistic registered dietitian and nutritionist. I got that right. Didn't even look at my notes. Thank you very much. It's a tongue twister.
Yes, it is.
And that's okay. So now we talked about the fact that you help people with chronic digestive issues, and that's not to say that you won't help someone in other areas, but when it comes to this specialty, what are some of the, I guess, illnesses or issues that you commonly treat people for?
Yeah, that's a good question, but a very broad question in a sense, because we know that all disease begins in the gut. Everything, heart issues, dementia, ADD, ADHD, skin issues. So everything starts there. So what I see more typically, though, is people know they have digestive issues. Maybe they have acid reflux, they have diverticulitis, they have chronic constipation or diarrhea, they have IBS or Crohn's or colitis, those sorts of things. Those are the ones I typically work more towards, you know, but it's not to say, just like you mentioned, I'm not going to help others. Autoimmune's another big one too, because we know that stems from the gut too. And when I say that, that means looking at the whole microbiome, because we know that's our second brain. Our gut microbiome is like, what's in there? Do we have enough good bacteria? Do we have too much bad bacteria? Are we digesting our food well? You know, all these things give us a picture of what's going on in the body, and especially the gut microbiome.
Okay. All right. So now walk us through the process. Somebody is listening to this show and they say, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, or my husband, or my this, or my that friend, relative, and they call you or they visit your site. Explain the process of how it works to work with you.
Sure. So I recommend that everybody do a discovery call to start out with. So I offer a free 30-minute discovery call, kind of get an idea of what's going on with them, see if we're a good fit for each other. Some people we may not be a good fit for, depending on what's going on with them. So I always encourage the discovery call first. They can schedule that online. From there, we typically then schedule a comprehensive assessment and a root cause analysis. So basically the comprehensive assessment, we spend a good hour together reviewing their health history, giving me a whole picture, like so I can put the puzzle pieces together, right? And then also with the root cause analysis, it's basically then going through, okay, based on what I see, this is what I think we need to do. We need to do these labs, or we need to work together this long. We put together a program for them because everybody's different. Right. You have to personalize it to that individual. And then from there, we work together or we don't work together. It depends on what they want to do.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so the nice thing was for my husband, it was like a 3 or 4 month time frame, and it was very specific. And you know, of course, we went through all of the steps, and then the homework at home, and he was really good about that. You know, and of course, he was very open about it, because the more open and honest you are, you're doing it for yourself, right? You know, if somebody has a guilty pleasure of Pringles. I'm not a Pringles gal, but I know people that just love to stuff their hand. It's so much fun when they have, get their hand in the bottom of the jar tube. And that could be their guilty pleasure. And they might be embarrassed to say it, but they shouldn't. Yeah. Because it's.
I don't usually have that problem. I tell people I'm not the food police. If I ask you to do a food diary, it's because I want to see what you're eating and how you're feeling. Yeah. I want to see the association, because we have to be a detective, right? And get in there and see, okay, they're eating this. We see a pattern. Okay, I'm eating this. I'm eating these things every day. And I'm having this issue. Yeah. So then we find a replacement. They like Pringles. Let's find a replacement that's like Pringles that's cleaner.
Sure.
And then they can not.
And with air fryers nowadays, that's like an amazing thing. We have not gotten one yet, but I hear that potato chip people are loving their air fryers. That's a whole other. And but it is nice to know that the window doesn't have to be necessarily very long. Sometimes people think, well, if I start with a nutritionist, am I going to be going there, weekly and, for forever and ever?
It depends on the person. I'm finding with most people, minimum 3 months. I have many that I'm working with for 9 months to a year. Okay. Depends on what's going on.
On the extensiveness of,
exactly.
And then after that, if they want to check in every now and then, you do that too with your patients.
Yeah. So I have basically a membership plan, so they can at different levels. So they're like, well, I want to see you every quarter or twice a year, or I just want discounts off of supplements because that's part of the membership program. So once they've finished a regular program with me, they can go into the membership program. So they have more options. I'll have different features in the different.
Very good. And this is private pay, because I'm sure people will want to know that.
Insurance does not want to pay us.
I'm sorry about that. It's worth every penny, and there's not a lot of pennies. It really, with the relief that my husband has received, and it is ongoing, pays for itself. Trust me. Probably for all the medicines like Pepto-Bismol that he hasn't had to buy.
Right.
Think about it like that.
Well, and here's another good example. My mother-in-law was in the hospital a year ago for, I think she was in 8 days.
Okay.
No surgery, no vent, no ICU, $140,000. So, and I have a new client right now that he's been to 50 doctors, 50. And he's just not getting any answers, so and he's getting answers already. He's already starting to feel better. And we've just been working together a week.
Again.
So quick results.
Worth its weight in gold. So now tell everyone who is listening your phone number, your email, and your web address, please.
Okay. So the phone number is 772-758-2400. The website is www.vwanc.com. And the email is support@vwanc.com.
So VW for Vitality Wellness, the A for and then NC for nutritioncenter.com. Just in case, because, sometimes
B sounds like B.
Yeah, wax in the ear, that kind of thing. Okay, so now, are there any, this is a fun question. You ready for a fun question? So are there any particular health or diet trends that make you cringe that perhaps people should stay away from?
Yeah, the biggest one that comes to mind is everyone's jumping on the keto diet.
Okay.
And short term, a month or two, okay. But what's happening is they're not feeding their microbiome because they're not getting the fibrous foods, right? So it was never intended for the average person. It was intended for neurological issues. Because it's
interesting. I did not know that.
Because it's a high good fat diet and the brain is made mostly of fat. That's neurological, right? The issues that people deal with. So it was never intended. And because you can lose weight, people jump on it. But it's not, I would never recommend it more than a few months.
So then down the road, people can still enjoy the good fat diet that they're eating. But to make it sustainable for the long haul, they should add some salad. I love my salads. Don't take my salad. I just love food in general.
And they're root vegetables. There's prebiotic foods that feed the probiotics, right, in our body. So they need to feed it. They can't starve it, or then they end up with issues.
Okay.
It's just one of those fads that people jump onto.
Okay, very good. We have about a minute left. She didn't even wave those fingers. Oh, she's going to give me 2. Thank you. She's very good with her time. She gives me extra time all the time. No, she doesn't, but only kidding. But before we wrap up, is there something that you would like to touch on that we didn't touch on?
Mainly, I think people need to understand that Dr. Google is not always your friend.
Okay.
Because it's confusing. It's conflicting. There's information that might be okay for you in most cases, but maybe not completely. That's why you need someone to look at the whole picture and see what's going on.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing I would say is just be careful with Dr. Google. Be careful with, other avenues of health that you don't know that the person's credentialed and educated in that field. Because we see a lot of people trying to do that and they could really cause harm.
Yeah. That is very true. And then there are times where my husband will read something and then he will bring it to his doctor. And sometimes the doctor says, that's great. And sometimes he'll say, no for you because, so at least that's good that he does that.
And
too.
our doctors try, but they only have one semester of nutrition in their 10 years of education or 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So that's why we exist.
Yeah. And you work in conjunction with the doctors too.
Yeah.
So that way your understanding of medicines that people are on and their medical conditions and things like that.
Absolutely.
Very good. So did you have fun on this show today?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
I wanted you on this show for a while now, and it's only because I know you and I know the good work that you do. And I am so appreciative of it. So is my husband. So thank you very much
for
welcome. Being on
Thanks
the show.
for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And as things progress, because like, for example, you do things virtually now, but as things progress, I want you back on in the future.
Yeah, we'll do another show on some interesting topic people would like to hear about.
Very good. And then we'll go to have sangria after. I'm just saying, perhaps, maybe. But thank you very much for being here. And I hope that everyone watching has a safe, wonderful, productive week. My name is Ellen Contreras, the host of Treasure Coast Connector. And until next week, I miss you already.